In this video today, guys, we are going to remodel this tub area, and we're going to take it from this to this. I know it's not much to look at right now, but the tub is actually a fantastic jetted tub. We're just going to peel off all the trims, get some proper substrate in behind it, get some tile on the walls, and then we're also going to remove this here and build a new half wall. I'm going to have the tub faucet for this coming out of the wall. It's a beautiful new fixture. We'll show you all about that later and how to install it. We'll do the plumbing and everything. But right now, what I got to do is peel this onion apart and find out right back to the original integrated tile flange of the tub. So then I can rebuild properly, all right? I've already got the water off downstairs. So we're gonna open up the line. And all we're gonna get is air. So there's a little bit of water coming out of the line, but generally I'm just allowing air in here. I opened up a faucet on the main floor. So now the lines are all busy being drained. That's what we want because we're gonna get this removed off the floor too. So while that's draining, we're going to just peel this open. Looks like just Brad Nails knows adhesives. That's great news for me. Oh yes, love trusting in silicones and sealants. You know, if they're sitting in water, they never hold. This is the problem with most of the showers and tub systems in the world today. 95% of the systems that are out there that they're selling you require silicone to be the waterproofing. And it never holds. Ay, ay, ay. You know you're gonna have a temporary shower if you buy something that needs silicone to keep it from getting wet. Let's see how much mold we're gonna get back here. Not bad. Wow, that's surprising actually. Let's have a look at this now. Should just lift out and lay down. I'm not sure how in the hell, I can't remember how I did that. I must have had a hole open from the ceiling down beneath. Okay, well it looks like I'm gonna cut a hole in the ceiling then. What to do. Like, there we go. Okay, it was just wedged in. And that is what I need. Right there. Okay, now I can cut that line and cap them. And then it'll be a little freer to work around here. Down getting plumbing materials. I figured I might as well get enough supplies to sink a ship. Maybe we'll get lucky and be able to reroute it right up into this wall cavity while we're at it. Now, this is one of these situations you want to have paper towels with you. If we can avoid having to cut open the ceiling downstairs, that'll save me another 4 or 5 hours worth of work. So we're gonna just be slow and gentle here. There's two things we have to avoid. If that line drops out beneath the floor here, then I'm not gonna be able to have access to it. All right, this weighs a couple of pounds, all right? That ought to keep it where it is. We'll get the copper ring on it, if we can. All right, so even if that falls down now, it's not gonna be a problem. Okay. Whew. Step one. All right, well, at least we can finish the flooring now. Now I've got to figure out if I have enough flexibility to get enough of that line into this cavity. Well, this is gonna get messy. I'm taking my watch off. All right, so here's the plan. Yeah, I need to be able to reach in and hold the pipe, cut it, and then cap it with my thumb right away, drop the cutters, and then pull the old line out so they don't get water everywhere because there's water sitting in that line. From here, it goes down and then back up. So that's like a P-trap for water now. I don't want that water going into anywhere else. Yeah, we are gonna have water, ladies and gentlemen. There's just no way around it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a spill catcher. And I'm gonna lay this on this drywall for the ceiling. These absorbent towels ought to catch whatever drippy mess I make. I'm gonna get that in here. Even if the drywall gets a little wet, it'll still dry. It's just not enough room in here for 2 hands. Okay. Okay, I got most of it. Yeah, I'll be able to put an elbow on that and crimp it. Okay. Okay. Now this cutter, it's starting to get old. It's been dinged up in my toolbox too much. So it doesn't cut very nice without crushing the pipe, which is why I'm having trouble. Now, and I should answer this question while I'm here. I get this question a lot about these rings versus the pinch clamps. So this system was out a long time ago, all right? And basically it's just a ring and there's a tool that pinches this. They work great if it's pinched properly, okay? And if it fails, it's gonna fail right away. So you gotta pressurize your lines before you move forward because you just don't know. There's, it's an overlap system right here, so the bridge. So it's, if it doesn't pinch right and it comes off this little nub here that's sticking through, it's just, it'll blow right off. That's why I like the solid rings. The solid rings never fail unless you forget to crimp them. So if you're doing plumbing in your own home and you want to know which system is better, solid rings by a mile. Used to be that these tools are $100, $150, but now you can get them for 30 bucks. Two more, then we'll get on with the demo knowing our plumbing is taken care of. We're gonna just put our caps in here. Cool thing about these caps, you see the tabs on the side? It's like a depth stopper, okay? So you can bring the ring right up to make contact with it. Where's it going? Here we go. Here we go. That's where you install it. That pushed all the way down and lifted up to contact. Perfect every time. You don't even have to think about it, okay? And it's the same gap for every other crimp that you're gonna do. About 1/4 inch from the end of the pipe. All right? Okay, so this is all silicone. This is grabbing the dirt, all right? Make sure your blade is nice and clean. You gotta remove it. New silicone will not bond to old silicone. You gotta always remove it. And not just the bulk of it. I mean, if there's a skim, that thin little layer here, that's all it takes for there not to be a bond, okay? It's gotta come off. And then even at that, there's still a little bit of something there, right? Now they make silicone removers and you paint them on and you brush them on and then you let it sit there for a while and you can rub it off. But if you've got a ton of silicone sitting there, it'll take you weeks to do that process. So get a good blade, get it nice and make sure it's sharp, make sure it's flat, okay? Make sure you're nice and low and get underneath all that old stuff. In a lot of cases like this, when I'm doing a resurfacing and I'm changing the silicone out, I'm also having the tub glazed again. So I'm not concerned about if I put a little hair scratch in it or something, right? And I'm also taking it off where I'm planning on putting silicone again. So even the smallest scratches are gonna get covered by the new bead of silicone. Yeah, it's the same process, same glazing, no matter what kind of tub you have. Steel, acrylic, porcelain, doesn't matter. It'll be good. So once we're done all the tile, if you want to do a reglazing program, call up the local reglazing, okay, or tub glazing people. And they'll just tell you over the phone and say, just don't put any silicone on until after we've glazed. Okay, because whatever they're using bonds to old silicone residue, okay? And then you're gonna have a new surface and then you can caulk all of your tub to the tile. Right, so just do it in the right order, you'll be just fine. This is a great tool. I think it's a Husky brand, isn't it? Yeah, it's a brad nail remover. When you're doing a demolition, the best time to remove nails is right away. Okay, don't leave it. And be really thorough. If you leave one nail, inevitably someone comes along to do mud or caulking and hits a nail. It can damage your tool, it can slice your fingers open. So make sure you have your electrical tape handy. Not easy, but it'll be possible. All right, well here's a solution to our problems. Kerdi board, right? 1/2 inch, it's the same thickness as your drywall. I'm gonna put it on the back, down the side, all across the front. I'm gonna replace this. And I'm gonna take the first 4 inches of drywall out of here. And I'm going to install the Schluter Kerdi board all along the backside as well, okay? And then when I build this frame, we'll wrap that in Kerdi board as well. It's nice and simple. I'm probably going to waterproof the board to the tub surface. We'll have to show you that in just a few minutes. We're going to want to definitely waterproof with the Kerdi tape to the tub surface. Okay? If I use the Kerdi tape to about maybe 1/2 inch on the tub surface and then up, then I'll be able to have a waterproof seal to the tub and avoid water sitting underneath that gap. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do. The other solution is I'm going to take the Kerdi Fix or the Seal and Bond, because it's easier to get a hold of, okay? Up here in Canada, we have Lepage Seal and Bond. Down in the States, you guys have the Loctite Corporation, and they make all the same stuff. So they have a Loctite Seal and Bond product. And you can actually throw a thick bead, okay? And then set the board in the bead. Problem solved. You fill that gap with something that's going to seal it up forever and be waterproof. Then that's a lot easier and probably a lot more cost effective than buying a roll of Kerdi tape. So now I have a plan. I got to go shopping. I need a little bit more of this board. Wasn't sure what was going to be found here, but this is just a thin plywood. Okay, so this particular tub comes with these wooden blocks, already an adhesive attached to the tub, and it's got a 1/4 inch gap. So it's great for facade. You put a 1/4 inch plywood on there or something and you paint it in, trim it up like I did. Because that's not doing anything to help. Okay, this board was installed to be the backer the same depth as this. So I'm going to just save that and then we'll move on. All right, well, now it's time for me to prep for my tile. And in order to do that, I want to get rid of this drywall surface because of the fact that this can hold water. And I'm not going to get rid of a lot. I'm just going to cut it like about 4 inches or something. And I'm going to replace it with the Schluter board or the DensShield that I just bought because I went to the store to get enough Schluter board and they were out of stock. Loving it. So I picked up DensShield because in a tub environment, I don't need to worry about having a waterproofing system. I just need to make sure that I have a good quality tile backer that isn't going to be deteriorated if it gets, in contact with some water, which will be temporary. So DensShield is a perfect solution for that situation. It's a fiberglass based board. Don't recommend it in showers personally, but that's because it requires silicone in order to have good joints. Or you're using Schluter Kerdi membrane. If you're going to go through all that hassle, you might as well just buy the Kerdi board right out of the gate because it's the same price as those two products put together. And a hell of a lot easier to work with if you can get your hands on it. So here we are today being creative and bobbing and weaving with the COVID supply chain issue. This is my tile. You might have seen this before. We're using it in the bathroom, in the shower. And we're going to just bring it over here because it's going to look lovely. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to walk through my process from the way my brain thinks. So it's a little scary. You can see that this is the leftover of that other wall that was here. But I'm putting in a 2x6 wall here. And that only comes to this point. 2x6 plus the DensShield plus the tile is going to come down and cover my floor. I'm really hoping. So I just dropped a laser level on the edge of the tub and I'm going to find out where my 6.5 comes to here. Like really just to the edge of my flooring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my 2x6 box and I'm going to shim and then attach the tub to the box with the added part of a shim, and that'll give me an extra 1/8 to 3/16, and that'll give me positive contact on there. Okay, it's not a real big deal, just gonna be a little bit creative, and that will be fine. So basically what I'm doing is I'm gonna put a leg here, a leg there, something like a 2x4 across on the bottom, just to give it some stability, a 2x6 across here, so that I can attach my tub to the structure. And that leaves nothing but space so that when my plumbing comes tomorrow, then I can put in a proper backer piece and all that sort of stuff, okay? Now, the other challenge here, of course, is the floor has a slope. So I need to use a laser level to draw my line to build my box. Remember, just because your floor is not level doesn't mean you want to build everything else not level, okay? Your counter's level, the tub is level, I want the box level, the tile should be level. And you want to have a finished spot and then everything grow to make contact with the floor. So I'm gonna just take a measurement here, and we're gonna just remind us that this is 11 and 5/8. And let's do some tub math. 11 and 5/8. Okay? Now, right here, I'm also gonna wanna leave room. I wanna build in a gap of about an 1/8 of an inch that I can silicone the finish, okay? So I got 1/8 there. I'm gonna use a 1/8 grout line there, all right? And that is good. So that's grout line, tile. And what I wanna do is I wanna build this 2 tiles tall. So we'll do that again, all right? So that's 22 and 10, 11, 12/8. Which is 23 and 4/8 or a half. That's the height of the finished tile off my deck. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mark that right here, 23 and a half. This is where the science gets really crazy. If that's where my tile finishes, okay, then I want my box here to be built so that the tile that's on top of the box finishes at this height as well. All right? I know that sounds a little bit wonky, but that's what we're gonna do. So, I'm gonna drop my laser level on this line right here so I can measure at this point and measure at this point to that line in space to create the perfect height box so that when I'm done, I can take my wood dimension, add my tile backer and my tile to have this tile line come all the way across. Little preparation goes a long way in this environment. And you also can cheat a little bit and take a hair off, okay? We have the ability to modify the finished height, because I'm gonna put the back on, I'm gonna put the top on, and then I'm gonna build down the sides, right? Because I need this grout line to come across, and then whatever the gap is what I'm gonna use. What I'll do is I'll do first tile, second tile, full tile. We're gonna cap this surface with the plastic edging and this surface with the plastic edging, and then push the other tile up to the plastic edging so that it's consistent. Boom, boom, boom. Are you a superhero? That one is 40 and 5/8 is our total height. And then over here, 41 and 7/16. Well, at least the bottom will look good. Like, we'll have full tile, full tile, full tile, and then, like, you know, a half tile or something at the bottom. That'll be fine. You see how this is built out past the tub? I'm going to do the same thing with the other box. I'm going to build it to the end and then add another piece to get over top of the hardwood. Good. Now I can take a measurement, because the outside wall is going to be sloped too, so 34 and a quarter we'll call it. All right, so just to summarize, because our wall isn't level or plumb and our floor isn't level, you have to find an imaginary point out here. And then this becomes your square. All right? That's why I use a laser line, because I can draw a line off the existing, and then I can use that as a mark, and then I can draw another line, and I can create an imaginary square point out here. Okay? That's what I'm doing. You got to think backwards, because this has to be plumb and give the illusion that everything is square and level. So if this point in your imaginary point here is out, you're done. You can't even start. That's why we drew a line here, so that the tile comes across. That's why this is set to this height, and then that's why we brought it out with a laser line across the front, just to give everything the perfect illusion. And then with that, using that point, I can measure back in every other direction. Okay? So if you can just imagine it, it's almost like somebody was standing here going, here's your spot, there's the outside corner. And then you can have somebody else measure from that corner in every direction. It's the same idea. But because I'm standing here alone, I'm using laser level. All right, hopefully that helps. Now I got my cut list. I'm gonna go run my lumber, and we'll screw this together with some decking screws and mount the tub and get everything square and level. Yay. Woohoo! So off camera, I just made an adjustment. Because the outside wall is tilted out, when I screwed it together, it screwed it wanting to stick this way. So what it did is I took out the middle piece, and I cut a 2-degree angle on this from here, on this angle here. All right, and then I attach that to this board first. And then over on this end, I simply just raised it up. And as I raised it, the structure started to shift. So I found a sweet spot. It's almost an inch higher on this side, and that's what caused it to lean. So now it's installed. It's perfect. Let's see if this looks decent. Ooh, that's close. I feel like I got my measurement wrong here, just a hair. There's an easy solution to that problem. One of the benefits of building with screws is if something's screwed up, you can fix it. You know, I was working with an imaginary corner after all, right? There, that's close enough to fix with the tile. Now we're square. Like, it's important because when you walk in a room, your line of sight, you're going to see this line, you're going to judge it based on the window trim. And these types of things, you know, make sure you just take that extra moment and double check. If you got to make a repair, make it. You're building with screws. It means you can take it apart and do it again. This isn't IKEA furniture. If you take a screw out, the wall panel doesn't disintegrate. It's just lumber, right? So let's just make sure we do that right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my tub to this cross section here. So I'm going to add a 1/4 inch to my distance. Always pre-drill this hole. This is fiberglass. It's not going to stretch for you, and it's not going to secure anything long term unless you put a screw through a hole. And once I've got this in, I'll be able to move the base until it's level this direction, or plumb, sorry. God, why is it as a Canadian I'm always saying level instead of plumb? Or is it just me because I'm from Cambridge? Nice. Now we've got a situation where everything is attached. I've got structure to the tub again. I got my hot and cold, lots of flexibility here to hook up the tub. And I got a nice deep cavity so that when I have my tub spout sitting here, the shower, there's like a wand shower extension that actually mounts inside the housing, and the hose is inside the interior of the wall. So that's why I just kind of went with a simple box, and I left lots of room for that hose to dangle. Don't want to get it caught inside there later. I'm feeling good. Okay, and like most of the times when I'm working out of the top of my head, I make changes as I go, which is good because it's good to know how to make changes. Here's my rough-in fitting for my faucet for the tub. It weighs about 6 or 7 pounds, solid brass. So if you want to know where to buy quality like this and not plastic, then we'll put the information in the video description, okay? What I'm going to do is, my back is going to be 2 tiles tall. We already established that. But I'm not a big fan of how tall this is relative to the counter, and I don't need the extra privacy, and I don't need the extra space either, because this is going to be easy to connect. The fittings are going to go here, my lines will connect, and I can mount this as low as or high as I want. So I'm actually going to make this section 1 tile high, because I don't want to make the room feel claustrophobic. So here's my tile, here's my line, that's my cutting point. Now, the only thing you need to know now is that if that's where my finish is, that needs to be the finish after my DensShield, right? So I got to take a 1/2 inch off. Okay? And make it a healthy 1/2 inch for Pete's sake. You can always pack on a little bit extra mud, because when I'm tiling this, I'll tile all the walls first and then I'll put the cap on last with the edging, all right? That makes it so much easier to do. Then that way I've got the ability to add the extra cement if I need it in order to create that buildup. But the tile will finish at this line. The cut here, add the DensShield, tile on top. I'm ready to go. So now it's time to set the blade. There we go. Now I'm going to resize it and get moving forward. All right, guys, when you're going to install the plumbing fixtures, you always get paperwork. Now, the information that you really want to know here is the the center of this fixture matches up with the center of the tub. That's what that C is down here. Okay, and then this is the tub surface, and they recommend 7 inches from the deck. All right, that's easy enough to do. And then here's your depth setting. You see here there's a finished wall. That means after you're done the tile. So this measurement here, this thickness, is lumber plus DensShield plus tile. All right, don't get confused with that. And the maximum depth from the finish to the back is 3 7/8 or 3 inch, and the minimum is 2 1/4. So what I'm going to do is take those two numbers now. So my minimum is 1 1/4 for my back plate, because I get another inch of DensShield and tile. Okay, so I measured off 1 1/4. That's my minimum. That's as close as I can be forward, which makes this stick out as far as it'll allow me. And I don't like that because I have zero mercy now. So I'm going to move it back a little bit more, okay, and I was up to 3, so I can go to 2 inch. Now look at this here, this zone. This is the safety zone for the install. If it's back too far, then the handle assembly is going to not go on properly. It might run into rubbing and grinding issues. So when I'm installing, what I want to do is I want to measure my bracing right in the middle. That's my safety zone, okay? So I'm going to put in a horizontal piece now. It's at that point here. It's just a little bit behind this plate. Now, the trouble with my situation, more than I'm dealing with, is I don't have the plumbing cut yet. Well, that's fine. I'll just leave it out of the way. I'll cut that later. Let's get that horizontal piece in first. And on the other side, and the good thing here is it's just about a 1/4 inch behind this, right? So I know it's right about there is where I want to go. And my 2x6 goes something like this, okay? Perfect. That's just so that that end doesn't fall down while I'm screwing this in. I'm just going to use this caulking line as my line and replace drywall with DensShield. Because it's just a tub, I just want to make sure that this area here, if there's any water setting, it's not soaking it up into the wall from behind. It's being a little paranoid, but this is a great time to be a little paranoid. Now you remember in another video, I was talking about I was going to review these black blades. I don't know. I mean, they work great. I just don't know if they're worth paying extra money. They seem to do the same thing the other ones do as far as I'm concerned. There it is. Easiest way to describe this, it's made by a drywall company, but it's made out of fiberglass, okay? So if you think fiberglass pink or fiberglass yellow from 40, 50 years ago was hard to work with, this is nasty, all right? Do not use any kind of power tool to cut with this, okay? That'll get in your lungs so fast and you'll have to go to the hospital. It'll drive you crazy. But if you're careful handling it and you cut it and you install it and then you just go and wash your hands and arms under cold water, you're gonna be fine. So, just a warning there. I hate to see somebody do something stupid and get sick. I'm gonna do from corner to the middle and then from middle to the other side here, just so that we have something to screw it to, okay? You can scratch the front and then break it. Just like commercial drywall, what makes it commercial, the 5/8 stuff and fire rated, is it's got the glass fiber in it. Well, this is the same kind of thing, only it's like glass fiber on steroids, right? I mean, it's just crazy. There we go. As little dust as possible. That's it. You don't even have to cut the backside, right? I'm gonna make sure I got a factory edge down, and I'm going to set it in my adhesive when I install this. We've got to have a tile backer because we don't want to have any of our tile actually attached to wood, right? Expansion, contraction, you've got to have something that you can tile on. This is a guaranteed tile backer system. It resists absorbing moisture. If you leave it outside for weeks in the rain, it's still relatively dry. You know, take it inside for an hour or two and it's good to go. It is guaranteed as a tile backer for life, residential installation. And if you have ever seen the yellow panel on the outside of commercial buildings, this is what they're using. This is their weatherproofing system for us up here. Okay, they just stick all this stuff, cover the whole outside of the house. There's no building material on the outside of commercial anymore that absorbs moisture. So you got this outside of rock wool. It's a great little system, right? Nothing's soaking up the water, and then you've got steel stud. So generally speaking, any water that gets past the facade really has nothing to cling to. It just drains to the bottom and runs out. All right, now I need my caulking gun. Here we go. Seal and bond, okay? This is in Canada. Down in the States, it'll say Loctite. All right, pretty sure they're the same company, but some of these products have to have different names in different countries. Not exactly sure what the rules or regs are for all that, but. Okay, now we're gonna just set a nice thick bead here, all right? There's no better seal than just not having a gap available, right? Walk right up to it. Now, we are going to absolutely fill this space here with seal and bond, which is going to absolutely waterproof this joint, okay? So that no water that comes on the tub edge is going to have anywhere to pool. So then after we put our tile in, we can finish with silicone and we're going to be just fine. Just going to tool it in with another piece of leftover. Acrylic tubs, you can't really get a good bond with silicone, right? And in this situation, because my tub goes down, if I don't fill that space, water's going to sit there, and whatever silicone I have on the surface is going to be rendered useless. I messed it all together. You can't have water sitting in the silicone. It lifts it up, and it goes right behind anyway. It's like as if it was never there. And this stuff is nasty to work with, but it works, right? Like that really does work. I know you're gonna be looking at that going, wow, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And you're probably right. But the point is I can't have the water sitting there. Because no matter what I use, if the water gets in behind and sits there, it's gonna fail. This will at least give whatever silicone I have a fighting chance because it's gonna keep the water out. All right, well, let's get the rest of this tub covered and we can get it tiled. Of course, we're gonna show the plumbing installation in just a minute. And then I'll show you the finishing touches because I have to have a trap door at the end here as well because it's a jetted tub. So you have to have access to the motor. So the last panel that goes on over here, we're going to show you how to get that mounted so that you can have that removable. And then other than that, you know, we'll put on the finishing trims and get this sucker all cleaned up. We'll be good to go. This product, I chose Remodel Pro. And if you're not sure where to find this product, I'll put a link in the video description. But it has a tub spout. It has a removable shower wand so you can rinse down your tub. And then it has a handle that's a thermostatic valve so you can adjust and preset your temperatures. Okay, all you gotta do is turn it on and you always get the same heat in the tub as you're used to. So it's really simple. You don't have to guess and add water and add cold, add hot. You just set it to where you want it, set it and forget it, right? It's really sleek. This is the plate, okay, that goes on the wall. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? That's gonna be just so sexy. Okay, let's get this going. Got all the functionality here. I got this. And here's the Remodel Pro thermostatic valve system. This is where you go to open this up or close it. Okay, nice and simple. What we wanna do today is we wanna get this mounted right here with this on the center line, okay? And then in order to do that, I've got to make some room for my water lines right here. And I'm just gonna use my Sawzall instead of setting this up. I bent my water lines out of the way, so I'm not gonna run into issues. And I'm gonna just be aggressive and get it done. Battery's already dead, probably. Not a big surprise, I got one on the charger, I'll be right back. It's a funny thing about older tools, or sorry, older batteries, because this is a brand new tool. It was an older battery, it just doesn't have the same oomph anymore. So if you find your tools just underwhelming you, Don't throw out the tool. Go get new batteries. You'd be surprised how much more life you can put into your tool. I'm gonna move that. It's gonna vibrate off and kill it. Yeah, that's close enough. Here. Okay. All right. I just wish that these came PEX ready. But, you know, there's only so much demand for this kind of product. They make it copper ready or whatever. Disappointing. Okay, now let's focus on this. This is a 1/2 inch NPT thread, and that's 1/2 inch PEX ready. Since the beginning of water supply in the history of North America, we've been using 1/2 inch NPT thread. First on steel and galvanized pipes, and now it's in brass and copper. Brand new fittings are still using the same thread size as plumbing that's in your house that's 140 years old. So feel free to never have to be wondering what that fitting is going to be. It's always the same darn thing. All you need to know is if it's a male thread, like this fitting, or the female thread. And you can do as much piping like this as you want to, but you're going to want to use the Teflon tape. And you hold it with your thumb and you stretch it around the threads. Okay? And there's a lot of thought and conjecture on this, but bottom line is you put it on the same direction, you put it on contrary to the direction that you thread it in, so it stays wrapped tight. Otherwise, here, I don't know if this is going to happen, but it'll all come loose. You see when you're putting it in, and then you don't have waterproofing. Here we go. Now, nice and tight. Okay, because once this is in the wall, you don't get a chance to go and torque it again to fix it without taking your tile off. So it's important when you're done this, have your shut-off valve horizontal so it's closed. All right, turn the water back on, pressure test it, let it sit. 4 or 6 hours overnight is even better, because if it develops just a drip of water, depending where you are, like I'm on a really high quality water softener system. I don't have any contaminants, 0 parts per million in my water. So it won't self-seal, you know, with all the little crud that's in the line. If you're on city water and you don't have a filter, even a small drip will end up sealing itself. Now, there's no rule as to how tight to put this on, but I will tell you this. If you got anything left in your, use it, okay? That's the only guarantee you got that it won't leak. Remember, most of these threads and fittings have at least one component coming from an international supplier that may not have the highest quality standard of manufacturing. So you don't really know what you're buying, right? I know that my fitting here is actually manufactured in Quebec, so I don't have a problem. That's Canada, folks. We get great plumbing fixtures out of Quebec. If it's twisted up on you, fix it. You don't want to have a big knot on your threads. Here we go. And I like 3 runs, maybe 4, because it's not just a sealant, it's a lubricator and a sealant, okay? It fills in all the gaps so the water can't escape, but it also lubricates brass on brass so that you can tighten it up more. So that's finger tight, okay? And that's with the wrench. And one of the ways you can tell if it's good is if they both have the same depth. Oh, another quarter. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. That's work. Now, whew. That might just be me being paranoid, but I'd rather be paranoid than have a leak. Okay. If you're not sure, if you're strong enough to make that work, get a longer wrench. Okay? Or even get this and put it in a vice grip on a table or something. The longer the wrench, the more torque you have, okay? So if you're small and tiny and you're doing your own plumbing, just buy a wrench, like a crescent wrench with an adjustable end so it can't slip off, and get it with like a 1.5 foot long. You can even take a big piece of pipe. This isn't the greatest example, but you can put that over the end, and then you can really torque it from here. Old-fashioned science, right? The further away you are from the point, the more power you have. So that can make up for the difference. There's a center line for you. Okay, it's close enough. Sometimes you don't need a laser level, eh? Now, this right here, because I read the instructions, this goes on the center line. That makes life really simple, doesn't it? Okay, and in order to have lots of flexibility to the pipe, I'm gonna go just a little bit higher here and confirm with my wall plate that that's gonna work. Okay, remember, end from the beginning. Now, even to go all the way up to the top of this wood, I still have enough room for this plate. It's gonna look a little silly, so I'll bring it down a couple inches. All right, so let's try this out. Yeah, I'm really comfortable there. I think we're gonna be fine. Okay, so I want my water line to go to there. And that tells me where to cut the pipes, okay? Let's do this. Turn off the water, I've drained the taps. There should be nothing but air in here. If I'm wrong, Max is gonna drop the camera and go running downstairs. Just joking, Max, you don't have to drop the camera. Hear the air rushing? Now the line's really draining. If I was wrong, I'd be having water all over the place. Now you can see I can push down a little bit to about here, or I can lift it up to about here. That's my mercy, okay? It's good to know what your mercy is. When you're doing plumbing, it's best to go with pushing it down for mid contact. And then if you have a problem or your crimp ring doesn't work or there's a leak or something, you can then just yank it up and cut to the new line and reinstall, okay? You don't have to run a brand new line. And I'm going to put pressure while I turn so that it cuts through clean without collapsing the pipe. Because if all I do, see how round that is, right? Here's the other side. If all I do is crush it, it ends up going oval on me, okay? That's a lousy example. Here, let me just, see how oval it can get? All right, before you cut it. So depending on the condition of your cutter, you don't want that. You can't operate with the O-rings with that. So twist while you're cutting. So then when you go to put the O-ring on, okay, look how easy that is. The oval side, you gotta reform the pipe. It'll drive you crazy, okay? So, twist and cut, makes the installation easy. Here we go, slide it right on there. Now, give it a bit of a pinch so it doesn't slide down on you, okay? Same thing, I'm gonna go like this. Find my mercy. Woohoo! Now, that was rude. Are you done? Okay. So there's exceptions to every rule, isn't there? If it wants to slip, just give it a bit of a squeeze so then it won't slip. Okay, now put the hot in. And the way you know this is in North America, generally speaking, hot's on the left. If you are from Quebec, hot is usually on the right. Fascinating, isn't it? Not sure why, but that's okay. Just got to know the rules of engagement for where you live. And okay, now that that's done, we're going to go turn the water back on. I have no idea if this is off. Isn't that fun? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a set screw into this mount. So when I turn the water on, if it needs to be adjusted, at least it's going in the right place, right in the tub. Okay, so the water can only come out here. at least that way we're protected in case, eh? Whew. Might seem ridiculous, but that's not a test cap. That's the actual valve. And if it wasn't installed in the closed position from the factory, you know, I'd have a ton of water firing out right now, so. Good. Oh, okay. Nice. Let's get this in a place where we're all comfortable. I think that's gonna be good. Now, the way that we're gonna find out if this is installed level is I'm gonna put the plate on again, okay? Because this is level when we're done. If I can't get that in the right spot, there's no sense installing it, right? Beauty. Okay, what a great time to add backups to the system. Now, this is great because they've got top and bottom mount screws. If your wood is twisted, you can leave a little bit of pressure on the bottom, let's say, and then tighten the top, and because you really want this perpendicular off the wall. We don't know yet, do we? The only way to check that out is go back into the box. Here we are. This will be the one that tells the truth. Knowing the end from the beginning, folks. That's what life is all about. Great time to check out how this system works, too. Okay. All right. 2 inches. 2 1/16. Doesn't sound like much, but I'm telling you right now, in my experience, that 16th is all the difference in the world. Because when you tile, you're gonna have a gap at the top and none on the bottom. So, there we go. All right. Perfect every time. All right, so we're roughed in. We know we're not leaking. The only thing left to do now is take all of these fancy little doodads, put them over top of your fixture. There we go. That's obviously for here. This one's for here. And what these do is they give you exact dimensions of where your holes go when you're doing your tile work and your wall board, okay? So you don't necessarily need it here for the wall board, but it helps, right? You have something to mark to. You can even get these lines top and bottom. Look at that. These are 12, 3, 6, and 9 so that you can identify and measure to these grooves. Get your holes perfectly situated. Awesome. Now, before I go further, I still needed to put the 4-inch screws on the back of this to mount it to the floor. We're going to take care of that. I'm going to close the back of this wall up. We have a treat. In the shower, we use a relatively inexpensive cement. It's like 15 or 20 bucks a bag. Over here, we're going to use a $45 cement. Because in this situation, I'm going to put the back 2 tiles on, and then the rest of this tub, I'm going to tile from the top part and then go down. And I'm using a cement that'll hold the tiles in place so that I can build in the opposite direction. That way, because I have a slope on the floor, I can have perfectly horizontal, level lines all around the top, and then build down and measure to the floor from each point and cut everything perfect. This is good to know. For an extra 25 bucks a bag, you can get an ultralight white cement. And I bought it at Lowe's, but it's not called ultralight. It's just called lightweight mortar. They changed the package, okay? So we'll show you that. We'll get through all that process. I'm just gonna go put the back on now and show you how this is all done, wrap it up, and then I'm gonna show you how to drop a center line so that you can balance this out, okay? There's no sense doing it yourself if you're gonna do yourself in. Is right? It's DIY, not DIY. If you can't make it look professional when you're finished, you shouldn't even start because you're gonna devalue the project and devalue your home, all right? All these little steps, making sure everything's square and level and working from the center out and working from the top down. These are the things that separate professional jobs from homeowners who are just experimenting on their home. And you don't wanna be one of those, okay? You wanna do a really nice job so that when you go to sell, people go, wow, the finishes in here are awesome. Okay, first thing you're gonna notice here, guys, is this. Hot and cold, they're making contact. If you're filling a tub, that's a lot of hot water mixed with a little bit of cold water. It's right over the hole. So if it drips, it's gonna drip on the ceiling. So let's keep them from making contact. That's a great place to use a scrap piece of lumber. Problem solved. All right, now, I have got some leftover structural screws from my deck, which are 4-inch long, and they're gonna be perfect. I couldn't install it the other day because I lost the bit that goes with them. So now that I have that, I'm gonna drop this in. There we go. We're gonna use DensShield on wrapping the whole thing. And for the purpose of speeding up so we can get this filming done today before Max goes on holidays, I'm just gonna put the back on, show you how to drop your center line, show you how to work from the top down, and then we'll be able to kick him out of here and let him get on with his vacation, okay? He needs a break. First of all, the height of this thing is a little bit more than 16 inch on center. Ooh, 28, ooh, so evil. In a perfect world, we could put an extra piece of wood on here, but I don't really care because I'm using a fiberglass wallboard panel that's incredibly rigid. And then once I have cement on this and then porcelain tile on this, the fact that there's no wood in the middle isn't gonna mean nothing, all right? You'd have to drive a car into this to make a dent. So we're not gonna get too worked up over the minor details here, okay? Remember, I'm not in a shower here. This is considered a dry area. So we don't have those annoying rules that wet areas have to worry about. We can be a little bit more free and creative. Okay, now I could take the time to describe the board, but remember what I said about this? It's fiberglass board. It's not nice to work with. And so in order to make my life a little more simplistic, I'm going to split the gap and just install the darn thing. And if that bothers you, it's okay. There's different personality types in this world. Some people get worked up over the little things. So if it bothers you, then don't do that. Take the time, scribe it, wear a mask. I am more of a get things done kind of fella. So if it slows me down and there's a way to get around it, then I will speed things up every time. Remember, I'm covering this with one tile and then one tile, right? There's not a lot of grout and deflection happening there after that cement is cured in 30 days. Now I'm just gonna come by and trim it all off, right? Try to cut straight every time. You never know when an offcut could be something you can use somewhere else. Try to cut and measure, and you could try to measure and cut this ahead of time. Instead, just cut it like it's drywall. In drywall, we always just install it and then we trim it back. All right, and the only thing we have to worry about here now is making sure that it's not higher than the surface. So that the next piece of board goes on, okay? And you can use a rasp or you can just use your knife on the side. All right, here we go, guys. So I got this all wrapped now. Remember, our premise here from the very beginning was to have 2 tiles high. I got a couple of cutoffs here to show you that. Plus grout line, okay? Which takes me to this height. Now, my back wall will be 2 tiles, all right? And then this wall, I want it to come right to here. Make sense? See that? And then when I lay one on here, that's fine. But I have to start at the top, get the top row in. The back wall is key. And then everything I build off both ends, if I'm always working from this grout line and working down, that all wraps around and all the lines will line up all the way across. Because we're also tiling the skirt on the front of the tub. So I have no mercy. I can't be different here than I am at the other end. So this is where laser levels and end from the beginning and really planning out and having a proper process makes a big difference. I'm gonna have to even level this here and then scribe the tile on the other end till I get that perfect angle, and then I can mark the cut for this end. There's gonna be a lot of work involved with this, but if you want something sexy, it's gonna take time and energy. You can't just get sexy and cheap and easy, right? I mean, there we go. Now the other thing I wanna do is I wanna get this front tile done because the back wall is on a bit of a slope out, okay? I wanna be able to have that cut stone and angle up against the back and then cap it with something that's square. I'll get a much better grout line there than if I put this on first and then try to scribe the line up to it. Anyway, now I know that the back wall is gonna be perfect. I can actually start building this side wall based on this grout line, right here. One thing I should mention before you're doing a tile job, the larger the stone, especially with porcelain, the more prone to chipping and cracking they are in the corners. Okay, handling this material is very difficult. A lot of warehouses screw up on a regular basis. When you get your boxes, open up the ends, double check, okay? Set aside stuff that's damaged like this, because it's really easy to use that in a place like this, right? Nothing wrong with that. Haha. Okay, so one of the benefits of having an Alex in your neighborhood is he's always cutting the grass when you're trying to make a video. Okay, now, this might seem crazy, but what I'm doing here right now is creating temporary support for this tile so that I can scribe this end. Okay, I gotta get this angle right first, so then just double check it, okay? Make sure that this is good. Yeah, this side needs to come up a little bit. This side's nice and flush. Oh, I have an accent here. This is gonna blow your mind, but the head on this screw is a pan head. So I'm gonna lift the tile a bit. Set it on the pan. There's my 1/16 of an inch that I needed. Bam, perfect. I've got the ability to scribe this line. And it is as simple as taking my tile, setting it beside it, flat to the wall, and drawing my line. Okay, now I can run that through the wet saw, bring it back up here, and then mark where I want it to finish. It's a little up and down the stairs, but like I said, if you want it perfect, do what you gotta do and make it perfect. I had the angle wrong at the very beginning, so I had to make an adjustment. No worries, that's what grout's for. All right, now I'm just gonna use my square, mark my spot. Here. Now, I like to cut on the black mark because my tile cutter on the wet saw cuts square. And then this is all square and plumb. I don't have to draw a whole line, just to mark to get started. Like I mentioned, this is a ultralight white. Okay. This is a lot easier to work with than the cheaper cement. It's expensive, I know, but look how easy it is to put that on. It doesn't just drop off and land all over your feet, right? Sometimes it's just worth it to pay the extra money. Now in this situation, I need it specifically for the fact that I'm going to be mounting this tile on this wall and I need it to stick. Okay, so we're gonna show you a demonstration of how well this stuff works. I'm gonna get all the lines going the same direction. We don't need to back butter because it's a dry space, it's not a wet area here, but if you want to take full advantage of the suction capacity and the holding power of the cement, back butter your tile. Okay? It helps to create the vacuum. Just fill in all these grooves. Okay, here we go. Now, the way you do this is you want to set it 1/4 to 1/2 inch higher than you want it. All right? And then collapse the ridges with pressure. Here we go. Now I'm going to use these screws just to make sure that it's not moving while it sets, okay? We're going to work on the next one. In about 5 or 6 minutes, this will set up enough that I can pull the screws out, it won't move. It's a little ridiculous, but that is the case. I'm also going to want to set in my leveling clips at this point. Okay. The rating on this tile for carrying 40 pounds is actually for on a ceiling. Okay. It holds really well on a ceiling. On a wall, because it's a heavy stone, still a little bit of sag. You got to give it some setup time. But this is going to work just fine. Okay, now I get to do the same thing with the next tile. Bring it over, get it scribed, cut it, whew, and then we'll just build down, knowing that now we've got a level, plumb, perfectly spaced, and everything in this entire bathroom can be built off of that back wall grout line. All there is to do now is go to the time lapse and then we'll show you about grouting and finishing and sealing this up when you're done, so you're not going to get mold developed later. Oh, but before the time lapse, let's just talk about dropping the center line and how to set up your marks so that you're always working from the middle and then left and then right from that center line. This will make it perfect. All right, so what we're going to do, instead of measuring the totality of this structure, we have two options. We can go center of the tub or center of the structure. I'm going to let you decide what you want to do in that. On here I have a 2x6 wall. Here I have a 2x8 wall. The line is going to be so close it won't be funny. If I'm out 1.5 inches here on the tub, it's going to look really out of balance from here to here versus here to here. So I'm going to go with the interior of the tub. I always found that's the best way to go about it. And that is 65 inches on the inside, right? Because this is an extra size. So 65.5 is 32.5. Let's get something here that I can make a measure with. Okay, now I'm just going to drop a laser line on it. There we go. This represents my grout line. So there you go. Now I've got a line to measure, okay? So I can measure from here to this point, right in the middle of that tile. Remember, over here I'm going to be putting the plastic edging. So I got to leave room for that plastic edge because I'm going to finish at that point. And then the top tile will also sit flush with that point, and it'll be about there, and then there'll be a plastic edging on it as well. So this is how we figured it out. Right in the middle of this tile is my line, okay? So now I can take this measurement and I can install that tile, and then I can take this measurement to the wall and I can install that tile. Nice and simple. Okay, so we've got our faucet fixture finishing here, all laid out. Generally, you want to go through all the instructions first, and then double check that you've got all of the right little tools and gizmos, okay? The little Allen key for the set screws comes in the package. And so we're just going to go through the assembly system here. There is a little ring here that is going to be used as a locking pin for the plate, okay? So this is actually going to get connected by 3 different functions, and all 3 of them have a different way of putting pressure on the plate to hold it tight to the wall. So it's going to look really amazing when it's done, but here we go. Let's just, step 1. This is brilliant. There's going to be a little hole in the tube that always leaves at the front, just in case any water finds its way in here. That's all that's for, okay? Nice and simple. Now, there's also this ring here, and this one threads on. Go backwards until it sits nice. Okay, that is going to give you a nice look, and it maintains a gap so you don't have rubbing, okay? Now, there is part of this locking system for here is this little piece. Really peculiar. Okay? And it's a set screw. That's the functioning side, and it faces down, and it actually gets set into the trim. And then after it gets done, you can push on the plate and set the screw into this, okay? Because this is pulled forward against this locking nut. Okay, so you can create pressure. Now, we're going to slide this all into place. Okay, great. We'll get to that later. First, we're going to take this piece, stick it back on, and this is to create the pressure here, right? Okay, there we go. Now it's in place, but it's not creating pressure. So I'm going to use my screwdriver to turn this threaded piece into the valve body until I get my pressure that I'm looking for. Right, there's no more movement. There we go. Awesome. Don't use pliers because these 2 little washers on the top here, they need to be in perfect condition. You got to protect them. That's why we had the covers on while we were tiling. You got to protect these washers so that all of these little nuances actually end up working for you. Now, here's our fitting piece. You can see there's a washer in here. That's good. That's what we're going to need because the hose has a threaded end. So we have a washer. It means we don't use tape or goo, okay? It keeps it nice and clean. We slide this on. All right. And then there is a set screw. And generally, It'll take a few turns. When you feel it getting tight, that's good. We're gonna go one more turn. Now what I want to do is make sure this is nice and level. Okay, good. That one's done. This is the tub filler. Amazing. It actually has 2 set screws, not 1. That's intense. Okay. Again, it just slips right on. And then we're going to tighten up those screws. Good. It's almost too easy, isn't it? Okay. Now, this particular handle, the Remodel Pro line that we're working with, this smooth part of the valve body is actually the handle, the part that turns, to turn the water on or off. Oh boy, I did it, didn't I?
What?
Yep, I forgot to turn the water on. Whoops. So I forgot. I have to open up the hot and cold water lines as part of the valve body first. I'm doing this out of order. I almost forgot. I've done this before. Right in here. Both of those set screws have to be pointed vertical instead of horizontal. You don't have any water coming out. New modern valves have got accessibility like that built into the design, so be really careful about that. Okay, and we're back. So now I'm caught up to where I should be. Now we can put the handle on. As I was saying, you've got 2 set screws here. So make life easier. Put it in position and then slide it on. Okay? And then you turn the bottom until you make contact. Not too tight. Okay? And then you can go sideways like this and get some good torque ability, okay? Really want to dent that set screw into the brass, okay? Now we got control. Good. Okay, now this is for our thermostatic valve. Okay? This one here just slides right on, and again, it has a set screw. This sets your temperature. What you want to do is, in this scenario, you can take this Allen key and you can release the set screw, okay? And you can change your temperature all the way hot and all the way cold. So look at the variation there, right? So if you like a really hot tub, you can just kind of dial it back a little bit and then reset it. So it always is up and down at the temperature you like, okay? So you don't have this, you know, sitting weird looking. So we're gonna just dial that back just like that a little bit. And we're just gonna set the screw in here for now. And then when we're all done, we'll get the water running and then we'll check to see where we'd like to have it sitting. Now, let's deal with the hose. Hopefully watching this video, you guys all realize that plumbing is not all that tricky. You should feel empowered to be able to do this on your own. This is the end that goes in here. Remember there's a washer in that. We'll just thread that in. Now I'm going to do a water test to see if doing this finger tight makes enough compression with that gasket, or if I have to get a wrench and set it on there. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be enough. The washer that came with the kit goes in here, and we're going to simply connect up here now. Now the secret here is to adjust this hose, okay, so that it's comfortable. Hold it with your fingers. Hold the top with your other fingers, and now tighten. So you're not twisting the hose into a kink, okay? You're gonna have to run this a couple of times until you get it where you want it. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I like that. Okay. Now before we put all of our caps on, okay, I've got 2 here, one for the top and bottom here. We're gonna get out of the way a little bit We're gonna test this out. Whew, okay, here goes everything. Okay. Okay. Well, here we go. We have got a problem, Houston. You know, that might be something really simple, but it might be something not so simple. We'll find out. Okay, so let's just make sure we got water coming through. Yeah, that one's working. Mm-hmm. So that goes to the middle. That's off. And then that goes to that tub. So that's all the water I got? It's just a dribble. That's supposed to be the hot side, I guess. So that's about the highest flow rate that I'm gonna get to fill a tub. So my problem here is I didn't have my cold line open all the way, and this thermostatic valve, it works different than the showers I've worked with. The functionality here is the handle turned this way turns on the middle, which is the wand. The handle turned this way turns on the tub faucet, okay? And this is your temperature setting. All the way to the left was cold water. And it's only designed to mix a little bit of cold water in. So with the valve being half open and all cold, there was no water coming through. So once I opened the valve properly, and then I adjusted this to the hot, okay, so now it's under full pressure. It's working great. So now I've got where I want. Now I can close this up. It kind of makes sense, you know, to make sure that your water and temperature and everything is perfect before you move forward. Kind of put cart before the horse there. All right. Yeah, there we go. That's working. That's really nice. And then, beautiful. Now the only thing left to do here is get my almond silicone out, dry up my areas, and do all my joints. Okay, now I'm using the almond caulk. All right, it's a silicone product. We're gonna do it anywhere I have tile intersecting tile or tile intersecting the tub. And it was gonna work this easy. Now, I'm just gonna put a small bead everywhere. Smooth and wipe as I go. This is gonna be beautiful. Actually, before we go any further, I gotta install the trapdoor. All right, the beautiful thing about Velcro, guys, this is basically what I'm doing. And just gonna kind of guesstimate. As long as I'm anywhere close when I put these on, we're gonna have great contact. All right. Of course, the way that you take that out when it's time is you grab one of those cute little yellow suction cups that they sell at the Home Depot. You can just stick it on, close the handle, pop it out when you need to. That one's done. Out of sight, out of mind. All right, now that the trapdoor is done, let's just get back to finishing all the silicone work. Guys, if you like this kind of videos, give us the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new to home renovation DIY. Now, check out these before and after shots. You tell me if changing the facade of the tub and moving that water tower supply into the wall is worth the effort. And make sure that you've checked out the rest of the videos in this series. We'll put a link in the video description, or you can just push this button right here and follow along from the very beginning. Cheers.